Well, game 2, then a different story here. Obviously, eLevate still not managed to find a win against Orbit here, but it's important, Taco, that if they can find 1 point here, they still have a very good chance of going to the Super Regionals.
Yeah, a split here would actually be massive for eLevate, considering that tomorrow, you know, it's all really up in the air and dependent, especially for Dig. Yeah. As you know, it's really dependent on how the other teams play this out as far as day 3 is concerned. But I think that this group stage is actually coming a lot closer than probably what most people were anticipating.
I agree. I think overall here, we expected it to be relatively standard for the most part until Sanguine showed up and eLevate at the same time, which wasn't necessarily written on the cards here. Game 2, though, Nika, picks and bans, what are you expecting?
MoGoW to not play Erlang.
Okay.
Maybe go to Odin. He's got a good Guan as well. And I feel like Guan is something that eLevate need because they struggle to reset fights well. And Guan just makes that so easy to pull off.
Guan hasn't really been picked too much or banned away so far this tournament.
Yeah, it has. Against
Not
us.
too much, I said. Not too
It gets banned every game.
Well, to be fair, Odin gets banned against you guys all the time as well.
We ban it.
That's also true.
I don't play it.
That's also true. Orbit will ban away the Giannis again from nulisa. They don't want her to get that God Taco. She had such a good performance on it earlier on today. They've already seen how good it is.
Yeah, I'm sure that Orbit are fully aware that if they let nulisa get that Giannis, then eLevate's going to definitely have a pretty good chance at letting this go to a split. But at the same time, eLevate going to go ahead and take away that Khepri option from Orbit. I do not think that they approved of any of those Khepri reses and the threat that he had the entire game on Trix.
Nika, what are we expecting eLevate to first pick? With the bans the way they are right now, there's a lot of OP stuff that we would have said in the SPL is getting through here.
They're going to get Jiffy, the jungler he wants, whatever it is. I reckon it's AO.
Alkwang early on?
Yeah, that's his go-to right now if it's open, I'm pretty sure.
Well, we have seen the Alkwang start to get, like, taken out
Fafnir.
for the most part as well. Go on, talk to me. You do not sound happy about the Fafnir there.
I don't know, like, Orbit can easily counter that with an Athena pick.
Oh, how does the Athena counter the Fafnir?
In the taunt, you can easily burst them, and in the dragon form, you can't AA.
I was going to say,
which is like the main burst damage from it.
That's true, but although Dardez, you know, you saw how good his hammers were against you guys, actually, when Cherio was playing the Athena, and every time he tried to go for the taunt, he got hammered to the face.
And Orbit actually picked the Isis into Fafnir, which is a bad matchup for the Isis. The Fafnir can solo her.
Okay, just
continue
pushing the whole time.
Ult, jump on her one, and she has to either ult Aegis beads the whole set.
Well, we saw QvoFred pick up that Batz this game again, going back to it. Pretty standard for Qvo to go for that one. Susana was available though, Taco.
Yeah, I'm a little bit surprised by that, but I'm not at all surprised to see them hovering that Odin pick. I was actually just about to say I would not be surprised if MoGoW were to pull out Odin because it's definitely a solo lane that he feels pretty comfortable on. And the fact that Orbit is pulling out Isis so early in their draft with Odin up, I'm not sure if they were planning on MoGoW picking Odin and they want to try and counterplay it, or if they just completely overlooked it.
Now, Nika here as well, with the Odin drafted so early here, there is the counter ban option for eLevate now to try and whittle away at Xalia's God Pool a little bit. What would you look to ban out against the Odin that you're going to probably run in the solo lane? I
mean, I'm not sure if Xaliea plays tier that often, but that's probably one of the top picks against Odin in the laning phase. I don't think they'll target Xaliea at all.
Could we see the Xingtang come back out again for Xaliea here?
Yeah, why not?
It's
a fine matchup, yeah.
Well, Bacchus picked up this time for Trixtank as well, as we do see the Rama ban against Jermain this game. Not a big surprise.
Yeah, one thing I would really like to see from eLevate is I would, even though Dardez would get Fafnir, which would seem like a really strong aggressive pick for him, I would actually like to see him tone down his aggression a little bit in this second game, because as Nika pointed out, the blink on Sobek is something that can work out really well in the early to mid game, but I think against such a seasoned team such as Orbit, he's not going to have as much freedom as he would with like other teams in as far as getting off those blink plucks, and especially with WorldEdit having opted into that blink last game. You know, I think they need to synergize themselves in a way that while Dardez can initiate, they need to figure out whether they want Jiffy going in on that Thor. You know, they don't need two ways to initiate at the same time. They just need one, and then if anything, reset and then follow back on. And
with that, Nika, as well, I mean, we saw, you know, we discussed in there the raw talent this time. eLevate have a lot of raw talent, but their aggression seems to be a little bit too much sometimes. That comes back to haunt them.
That's their main issue. Their decision-making is questionable sometimes. And if they sort that out, they could easily be one of the top teams.
Well, Jingwei also banned against Jermain here as well, and we will see Funballer get the first option of Hunters there, and the Freya banned out as well. Pretty wise for the Freya ban, just to make sure Funballer doesn't get that one.
Yeah, I do not think that eLevate would want Funballer on that Freya. However, it looks like he's going to be opting for that Chronos anyway, and Anhur hovering over here for eLevate, which is pretty... It's kind of expected, to be honest. Anhur is definitely a pick that Jermain would be comfortable on, and I think that it fares pretty well against the Chronos, offering such early aggression into a into a god that has a much harder time during the early stages of the game.
A lot of physical on the side of eLevate here. You're looking for a big burst mage more than not.
nulisa, I want to see Agni.
Is that what we're hoping for?
Why not?
The Agni coming out as well. Have we seen her really play it too much though?
It's her pocket pick. It's her.
It's that secret strike.
She loves it.
Yeah, well, it's not. You got it wrong, Nika.
But it should have been Agni.
You know
why
nothing.
not? I guess she's gonna save it for.
So why
for
Vulcan?
tomorrow.
Why do you think Vulcan over the Agni?
Just the Odin combo. If they can get the Vulcan ult onto Isis and Chronos, one-shots them. And Isis's ult is like irrelevant against Vulcan because it's enough damage to burst it completely.
Well, Ravana will be the final pick for Orbit there in the
surprise.
solo lane. Xaliea pretty much picked that a lot this split as well.
Yeah,
Nika.
it's a surprise. Like, it's weird to see so many people picking Ravana now, whereas the split before, it was like only me, Divios.
Yeah.
Everyone else like refused to pick it, but this split Xalia's like 7 times.
It seems like solo lanes have just caught up to you then, Nika, if anything
Yeah, I
else there.
guess.
Look at you showing up in DVOs too. Before we let you go and we go to the casters, Taco, opinion just on picks here, who's going to win?
All right, we're not going to hear what Taco has to say. I guess nobody really wants to hear what Taco has to say. I'm going to figure out if I can figure out what Taco's thinking about as far as this one is concerned.
Okay.
Picks and bans are concerned. Orbit's got the Isis. I know she likes the Batz, and she doesn't like Odin. What do you think Taco's thinking?
No, I would have to agree. Taco probably would say right now, like, okay, I'm liking Orbit's composition a little bit more. QvoFred on the Batz. He's going to be looking for these aggressive plays. And Trixtank with his comfort pick on the Bacchus going back into Season 1. He loves these kinds of aggressive guys. I expect right out of the works Orbit to make some kind of play, especially with Xaliea playing this Ravana.
Yeah, that's true. I think when it comes down to it, I think Taco is thinking OrbitGG for this one, just off of picks and bans. But now if you want to ask the casters, looking at it, eLevate, again, I like their lineup, but I have to say, Odin, I feel like Odin's a character that is a very specific choice. He's there to go ahead and shut down healers and characters like Isis, but with only a single character in there, I'm not sure if I like the Odin choice right now.
It's going to be very hit or miss to see if this Odin can catch anybody really out of position. But coming from the solo lane for MoGoW, he's going to be making these rotations not very early on because he wants to still be able to farm and get the levels that he really needs. So we wouldn't really see him in the action up until really level 11 or 12.
I will say, I'm a lot happier with WorldEdit on this Thor. I think the Ymir worked out flawlessly. I think it worked out very well. And unfortunately for eLevate and their fans, Orbit just wound up with the win at the end of the day. But WorldEdit on the Thor, I mean, he's the Iron Gamer. Look at him go. This is his choice. It's a very strong pick. I'm very excited to watch WorldEdit on land on the Thor.
The problem was eLevate allowed Orbit to get to the late game. They were making the necessary early game plays with a speed buff invade the last game, red buff invade on top. They gave away an early gold here to Orbit because of how much attention they showed to Xaliea that first gank around, but it was still a good idea to try to shut him down. And I really expect eLevate with this Odin pick to try to make maybe the early rotations to shut down Lawbster.
MoGoW does have one of the stronger Odins, if you guys remember when MoGoW came onto the scene. After people figured out the whole Hades or bust situation for Myrmidons, he started really playing a lot of this Odin, and it was very effective. And honestly, the way he plays the god, again, not one of my favorites, but Odin works out well in the hands of MoGoW. So eLevate, we'll see how it works out. And then Vulcan on nulisa, certainly a good choice for her over there in the mid lane. But if you want to talk about comfort picks, Funballer on his mage ADC, Trixtank on the Bacchus, QvoFred on the Monkey, is going to be a very problematic situation if eLevate want to deal with the comfort picks of Orbit.
And look how aggressive Orbit's been making their rotation. Xaliea assisting with elementals, right side mid harpies. We see Trixtank underneath, possibly rotating to left side mids, but going back into the lane, making sure Funballer doesn't get bullied out too hard. A lot of aggression onto Dardez, forcing out a very early meditation.
And I like that start coming out from Orbit, just going right for it. Jermain knows how to answer it. Fight fire with fire. Jumps right on top and forces the early meditation out of the Bacchus. Love that play. WorldEdit narrowly escapes death. Well, nulisa's going to finish over here on the left side Harps.
Very important right now for eLevate to get those left side mid harpies 1-for-1 trade, but getting collapsed on the top side and underneath by Lawbster. nulisa could be in a little bit of trouble here.
She's going to backfire to get out of the range of QvoFred. Very smart play right there. And Lawbster's able to poke her out, but just a little bit. Not anything to send her home just yet.
We saw nulisa playing the Isis last game. This time around, it's Lawbster that's been getting the slight edge in the early game, being able to get those rights and mid heartbeats. Now hitting level 4 first, which means he's going to be the one making the aggressive plays with QvoFred and Lawbster 1 level ahead of their opposition.
You know, one of the more unfair, one of the more frequent criticisms we've seen about nulisa has been her limited god pool. Now, honestly, throughout the regular season, we've seen her play a number of gods, but I think here in this shortened, just 3-day extravaganza of matches, I think we're getting to see just how widespread her god pool is. We've seen the Isis, the Chronos, the now the Vulcan, and of course, the Giannis has been the standout character. But this Vulcan is also, if you guys can remember, the Combine. nulisa played under the name Squiddo, and Squiddo's Vulcan was really fancy. So I'm excited to see how nulisa rocks this one out.
She's going to be able to make the plays as long as WorldEdit can really set her up. That's what you're really looking to do between this mid-jungle combination, which is why it was picked for eLevate. They have the global pressure now with WorldEdit on the Thor. The question is, which side lane is he really going to try to expose? Because right now, the dual lane of eLevate is really pushed up under the tower of Orbit. So if you're trying to gank that lane, you don't have much safety under your own tier 1 tower.
You know, and continuing the conversation about gods that I'm excited about. I'm very excited to see nulisa on this Vulcan. I want to see how it works out. But I'm always excited to see Funball on these mage hunters, specifically the Chronos over the Freya. I feel like the majority of hunters have a better Freya than Chronos. Chronos is a little bit more intricate. Not only the accelerate with the passive, but also the way you weave your spells in with your basic attack, with your amount of time with basic attacks with accelerate. I think Funball absolutely nails it and does a very good job.
Orbit just stole speed buff.
Just walked in.
Just walked in, stole speed buff. Nobody from eLevate really wanted to contest it. No ultimates were used whatsoever. But now Lawbster's out of position, taking a lot of damage. Circular protection, though, keeping him up alive. WorldEdit still has his ultimate if he wants to use it here, but he's still holding on to it.
I flat out why? Why do they not chase? Is it just because you saw the QvoFred in the back?
They're afraid of the counter engage from the Hunbash. The Fear No Evil would be very devastating, but you have Purification available anyway. Instead, they're electing to collapse onto this red buff. You lose your own speed, at least you're going to respond with a red buff of your own.
Yeah, so 1 for 1, not too large of a trade. And we're going to see the red buff be fought over. WorldEdit will take the red buff away from nulisa. Of course, she's got her own down there, so she'll be able to pick it up as well. Still domination coming out of the left lane for eLevate, but that's to be expected. The Anhur certainly a little bit more powerful in the early game over a Chronos.
And now without the ultimate from nulisa, Purification still available, but gets spotted out. Nice timing of the Purification, still safely escaping under that tier 1 mid tower.
Yeah, smart play coming out from Orbit. Able to make the best of a poor situation. Right now, team's about even as Orbit discovered that their red buff has been stripped away. Lawbster can't be too happy about that one. Says, hey, that's why the jungler's got a red buff. I see how this works out. Because keep in mind, WorldEdit, a lot of times junglers won't even take, even if you invade on the red buff and have 2 available, your jungler is not going to want to take that because of the speed. But, hey, Orbit stole the speed away. Now you've got the luxury to have a powerful Thor.
And Thor with the red buff is nothing to sneeze at right now. No matter what ability he maxes out, whether it's the hammer or the Berserker Barrage, it's going to be doing a lot of damage, especially the more gods are nearby him. And right now he's maxing out the Berserker Barrage, which is interesting because you're against an Isis who can easily silence you, can stun you out.
Yeah.
Fear No Evil can stop that as well. I'm really surprised WorldEdit didn't max out the hammer, trying to go for a more safe poke style.
Yeah, between Lawbster and Funball, I'm very surprised that we see the Berserker's Barrage come out, but honestly, it's been kind of the norm to really max out your Mjolnir's attunement, your hammer, basically, for these pros for a long time. But WorldEdit has stuck to the Berserker's Barrage. He likes the just guaranteed damage out of it. He gets jumped on, trying to figure out who to jump on himself. It's going to be a wave of minions. Ultra minions, one of my favorites.
Smart play by WorldEdit because his Purification was down. He was really afraid of the follow-up that was about to happen once he got belly flopped by Trixtank. The Fear No Evil would have kept him locked under a wall after that belly flop.
Here's aggression on a MoGoW. Going to get his shield canceled and no jump. There it is, but he's going to get followed up. Xaliea underneath the tower, and he's got help from Lawbster and Qvo. Big rotation to the right-hand side, and eLevate cannot capitalize with the Gold Fury. They're too concerned on the right side of the map.
Unfortunately, MoGoW didn't have enough mana to drop his ultimate under that tier 1 tower, which would have locked down Xaliea and maybe find a return kill in the process. So now Xaliea casually walking away with that kill, but now around the Fire Giant Elementals, Lawbster walking away from that ultimate. Circle Protection trying to keep him alive for now, but Dardez gets the kill.
And there's the ultimate out of the monkey on top of WorldEdit. Overhand smash! WorldEdit goes down as QvoFred claims his first kill of the game. He's 1-0-1. Orbit with 2 kills in total. eLevate just have 1. Dardez claiming that.
nulisa was really far away there at the end of that team fight. I'm surprised she wasn't a little bit closer, trying to respond off of WorldEdit's death. Now, they traded the mid laner Lawbster for the jungler WorldEdit, but I still felt they could have kept fighting that 2v2. A lot of cooldowns were used by Orbit. So instead, a 1-for-1, and now trading yet again speed buff for red buff invade.
This time around, we're going to see a little bit of jumping action coming out. Funball, not close enough against the wall, but the ultimate will do it. Jermain and Dardez, the Bruise brothers make Funball black and blue.
Great play from Jermain. He knew he had the damage potential with Dardez. As long as the stun happened, the Desert Fury would guarantee the kill, and they're still going for this red buff invade. Now, it's going to be Lawbster. It's QvoFred landed on by WorldEdit, but the question is, do they have the follow-up?
Nice knock-up, beautiful damage coming out of the Vulcan, out of nulisa. Well played by eLevate. Teamwork at its finest. Jermain doesn't get the stun, Dardez finishes it off. Trouble comes from the distance, WorldEdit lands on top. They need just a little bit extra damage, backfire meatball turret. Everybody combining from eLevate to make sure those kills happen. Jermain's in some trouble now. Knockback, uses purification, basic, he's gone. QvoFred, Qvo dead.
Same exact situation that happened with the Susanoo earlier on when Jermain was playing the Rama. He says, no, 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 you don't. Just like Dikembe Mutombo would say with the finger swag.
No, no, no. Not allowed here. Jermain still hot off of that pentakill play. You know, you and I were talking about it, and a lot of players are going to come home and talk about numbers and numbers, momentum, and all this stuff that I like to drag on about. It's all very real. The player with the hot hand is all very real, and the team with the hot hand is all very real. eLevate with a bunch of kills in succession, find another one, adding number 5 onto their tally.
Xaliea not having his ultimate because it was traded with MoGoW. MoGoW now just having his ultimate off of it cooldown, but it's going to be Lawbster in trouble, barely able to avoid that ultimate from nulisa, and the circle protection keeping him alive.
Smart play coming out from the guys on Orbit, surging forward to avoid the damage out of eLevate. Well played, but still Dardez able to answer back. nulisa goes down, Lawbster goes down. It's mid for mid. Nice play,
Dardez just having some fun there in the Dragon form.
I mean, you gotta love it. Look, Dardez, and one of the things that I've noticed the most about Dardez specifically is that he is just professional chill. He is the most aggressively chilled person I've ever seen. And right there, his character's going nuts. He's doing 360s, and you just see him chilling in the chair, lean back. And honestly, that type of composure, that's what you used to bring to your teams, that just chilled composure. You need that, especially when you've got this crazy, that's why I love the duo lane. Jermain yelling, screaming, hooting, hollering, and Dardez, just chill.
Sometimes you just gotta OS sloth it up, but Xaliea is gonna force his ultimate. WorldEdit is gonna try to chase him down right now in the solo lane. Lands on down using the Berserker Barrage, but there's nobody really close enough to follow up off of that global ultimate. Connecting with the double tap, which might allow MoGoW to make this dive.
Yeah, here comes the rest. Remember when Xaliea and 2 friends dove the solo lane? Guess what? WorldEdit and 2 friends are gonna dive Xaliea. Taking a page out of Orbit's book right there. And Jermain, 1 versus 2, trying to go for the invade.
And now MoGoW sacrificing his own life, not able to retreat after the tower dive. It's going to be Dardez in a lot of trouble as QvoFred and Lawbster trying to find more cleanup kills.
WorldEdit gets his Berserker's Barrage silenced out like we were talking about. And here comes help from Trixtank. Likely Dardez is going to be down for the count. Nice ultimate out of nulisa. Dardez finally does fall, and now nulisa might fall as well.
So 2 for 1 so far. nulisa forced into the purification, still getting dove. QvoFred finds the 3rd kill for his team.
Yeah, just a little bit too close. I liked before the teamwork how we saw everybody helping out each other, but that's the dark side of the teamwork coin, when you just see one by one players walk into trouble as they try to assist their individual teammates.
The one thing that eLevate have really going for them right now is Jermain, 3 levels ahead of Funballer. We saw the video earlier on. Funballer giving a lot of respect to to Jermain here, and we're looking at the experience per minute. He's just been struggling a lot because of all these red buffs invade. Funballer hasn't been getting the prime real estate opportunity to farm.
You know, even when they were on the Myrmidons, a lot of players were high and talking about Jermain and just saying, hey man, the team isn't all there, but Jermain certainly is. And right there, just look at how aggressive he is, chasing Funball all the way to the tower, zoning him out just a little bit.
Just confidence is eradicating off of Jermain right now. He is able to make solo plays against an aggressive QvoFred. And now, despite Funballer pushing out this wave, Jermain is playing so smart, just last hitting on the left-hand side, forcing Funballer to come even closer to go for another one-on-one play.
And you know, just to point out what that whole tactic is about, as he's just last hitting, he's not providing any damage, so those minions are going to die, effectively just stripping the effective XP and gold that Funball can even get. Right now, it's a 3-level lead, and Jermain is trying to stretch that even more so.
And especially with an Anhur that has a red buff, nulisa with a red buff of her own. I think this is 3 or 4 red buff invades in a row for eLevate, continuously shutting down Funballer. That's something you want to do against a Chronos, especially with Funballer, who's known to play so aggressive in the late game once his items come online.
WorldEdit's going to look at Lawbster, tosses out the hammer. That's got 5 points in it now, so our conversation about maxing is gone. nulisa in some trouble. Trying to help out is the jungler. WorldEdit's got nothing else available, so nulisa still finds a way out. How?
It's going to be a nice stun, though, for QvoFred with the rotation from Jermain, cleaning him up mid-lane, circle protection, keeping Lawbster alive. Dardez, though, he's in a rough spot. He gets traded out.
That's one of those trades. Last game I talked about nulisa dying as the Isis, going for the steal. I'm okay with that death. I'm okay with Dardez's death right there. He separates the rest of the team. 2 players from Orbit come into the deep jungle, and WorldEdit is trying to protect his mid laner. eLevate successfully get the kill in the backline, and Dardez trades his life. What is he doing there? He's zoning 3 players away from what could have been a team wipe into Gold Fury. If Dardez doesn't do that, you see multiple players from Orbit come into the back jungle. You see 2 or 3 deaths. You see a Gold Fury, and you see a snowball butterfly effect. So I'm okay with that death. That's a support death that's supposed to happen.
It's always favorable to trade your support for a jungler, and now eLevate, they're walking away very happy that they were able to save nulisa at the same time of getting a favorable trade, now finally picking up their own speed buff for WorldEdit, who also has a 2-level lead over QvoFred, actually just 1 now as QvoFred hits level 14.
14 minutes on the clock and 14 levels on the junglers. Very, very high octane game here. You can see a slight lead going the way of eLevate, believe it or not. About 1,000 to 1,500 gold, depending on who you ask and where they're at. And right now, eLevate have 1 kill in the lead as well. It's been 3 successful invades in a row. Looking for number 4. This one might be a stretch, though, Anatoly.
They're baiting out the cooldowns from Lawbster. If they wanted to aggress onto him, they could, especially with MoGoW right here, whose kit is specifically made to design to shut down Lawbster. Xaliea is the one with the Ghost Walk Phantom right now. He's not here to save him.
And there's the ring out of the Odin, and a turnaround stun coming out from Lawbster. eLevate not really committing here. There's a couple of different team fights. QvoFred drops the ultimate. eLevate look all sorts of distracted. WorldEdit able to answer back. It's 1 for 1 so far. Nice stun. Dardez trying to get out. Funball says no. Smacks him down right by the exit sign. Jermain Sanctuary falls down. There's the pillar, and there's the help from nulisa. Backfire into the meatball. Down goes 1. Down goes 2. It's double digits for eLevate.
WorldEdit is doing such a great job. He's going to continue the chase. He needs to get a clutch wall. He catches Trixtank on the right side of it.
Wonderful.
And that's going to be a nice double kill for WorldEdit. 2 for 4. Gold Fury on the horizons for eLevate as a respawn.
Again, the teamwork coming up for eLevate, looking something cute. These guys yesterday looked to be playing individual games, not really on the same level. And here, with the surprise victories that they've gotten today, they look completely different. Everybody's talking about these guys individually. Very rarely have we heard talk about eLevate, Fantastic, being a unit. This is the first time we've gotten to see them come together, and it's a very pleasant surprise.
This group is just so close right now. Orbit has 8 points after their last win, and if eLevate can at least find the split here, they'll be at 4 points with 1 win, 1 split, 2 losses, and they're still in contention to try to get into the top 2 to try to make it to Super Regionals here.
I mean, this is the absolute end-all, be-all when it comes to underdogs. Before, we had some people say, ooh, who actually is the underdog? eLevate is the absolute underdog, and Orbit certainly the top one, the top dog, right? To use a phrase that WorldEdit's very familiar with. That when you combine and look at these guys, I mean, not only was eLevate hanging tight and hanging tough, they've got a 4K gold lead.
Off of that huge win, getting the Gold Fury on top of this, Jermain still with a 4-level lead over Funballer, and this is the key to Elevate's success this whole game. Look at Jermain,
Still pushing it.
He doesn't want to hit these minions. He wants Funballer to overextend to him and make the aggressive play. Jermain having the red buff, he has the levels, he has the kill potential.
He's forcing Funball to play unsafe, and Funball is half taking the bait. He's not going too far up, he's going up just a little bit, and he's got a little bit of help in the wings, but Jermain understands. He's like, look, I'm 17. Chronos, you're still 14. You've got 2 items. Chronos, you have 2 items. I almost have 4. You really want to fight me, dog? And Funball is just walking away, saying, all right, man, I'm sorry.
And not only that, like, not getting these last hits is hurting Funballer because he can't stack that Warlock stash. So a great overall performance from Jermain, forcing out Orbit's hand, because if Funballer doesn't come up, that means somebody has to rotate to alleviate this kind of pressure, which opens up middle or the solo lane for the rest of eLevate.
Nice stun onto WorldEdit. Long-range spear bolt for Lawbster. And hey, number 5. Here comes another red buff invade, and this one not even contested by Orbit. I think Lawbster at this point is used to not having it. Lawbster has a red pot on.
I think that they really want to force a team fight going on because he knows that he can't get that red buff, so he needs some sort of damage elsewhere. They need a power spike, and maybe this is the timing window. There is no Gold Fury to happen. We see Xaliea pushing on the right, but there might be some action. Trixtank getting bullied out. Jermain still trying to bully out Lawbster. Or
bunch of crits, and here's the ultimate. Gotta force it, jump on top, not gonna find the kill. I think that one was a little bit preemptive, but there's the fight. MoGoW traps one in the ring. Funball in some trouble, no ultimate available to him, and no life available to him either. Jermain takes out Funball. Dardez fighting a different fight all by himself, forcing QvoFred back to home. Xaliea is gonna be forced out as well. Lawbster in his red pot, no impact whatsoever. He'll march right back to the mid lane, and Jermain, level 19, looking cute, feeling cute, pressuring on the left side.
And this is what eLevate need to do. They need to start grouping up and forcing these team fights. They're going to push on the left and in middle, using that turret to eliminate the backdoor protections, just squeezing in a few more in-hands before these minions enter the tower. And now, as Tier 1 mid gets pressured, it seems that eLevate was thinking about continuing on to Tier 2, but they're going to regroup mid instead.
And I like that. I like that play totally. A lot of times you'll see you'll see teams group up as 5, when it's not really necessary. Now, the mid lane tower doesn't go down, but it's a sneeze away. You didn't need 5 players collapsed on that. I like the decision to split up. Of course, I would have liked to see that mid lane tower go down. I'm sure eLevate would have as well. But overall, I like the decision to split up and try to get 2 instead of, well, they got none this time around. But their lead remains intact. They're up 5K.
eLevate, they're in the position. They need to figure out a way to close this down. Gold Fury is respawning in about a minute. With all these red buffs going in the way of eLevate, they have the level advantage where they really need it, which is in the jungle and the hunter position. So as long as they can get this next Gold Fury, that's going to be the key for eLevate to continue on to middle tower, especially because you're baiting out Orbit into your hands. You want to start forcing these team fights and trading out these cooldowns, which favors MoGoW. The Odin cage significantly shorter than Xalia's ultimate.
Xaliea still does have the Phantom, though, to allow his team to get the Ghost Walk, so very important that he blows the ultimate because he's by himself. The Phantom's going to provide help for the entire team to get out of that ring. But to be honest with you, Totally, that purchase I haven't really seen make much of an impact. Funball was dead in the ring, wasn't able to really catch up to Xaliea. Xaliea was forced out on the right side, so just troublesome situations all across the board. The Odin pick certainly working out.
Especially with MoGoW, who's so comfortable on this Odin. When we look at his build right now, he knows he has to go tanky right now, going for the Spirit Sword, because all he needs to do is just initiate with the Bird Bomb, get some people trapped in, forcing out that Ghostwalk Phantom, and then that's going to force eLevate to just follow up. And look at this, it's just going to be a free Gold Fury. Nobody from Orbit around the corner.
Yeah, Trixtank jumps over the wall, doesn't even have the jump available if he wants to go for it. But hey, bright side, Orbit, they don't even get the red buff. They started it, and they're gonna leash it. eLevate not too concerned about the invade this time around, looking for the last couple of hits on this mid lane tower. Jermain hits it literally 4 times, and it crumbles to the ground. Now looking for a rumble in the jungle. Jermain's gonna start the fight on the red buff. WorldEdit just blocks off the entrance. The entire game Orbit has been denied the power buff.
It's Jermain that's the king of the jungle.
Yeah.
He is playing the Anhur, the first level 20 of the game right now. He's daring QvoFred to teleport to that monkey right now.
Yeah.
He wants to take this fight with that red buff being max level. He's trying to back right now, get off his 6th item. It's going to be that tier 2 crit sword after the Wind Demon.
And it's just so much power. You know, one of the downsides to Anhur, right? Anhur has a fantastic early game, but really comes into himself in the mid game. Once he gets the boots and about 2 extra items, he has the basic attack power and, of course, Pillar Impale into ultimate. But the downside to Anhur is that he doesn't really translate into the late game. The passive is sort of stunted, and the rest of what he does just isn't as powerful as gods like Ram, especially a god like Chronos. Well, guess what? If Anhur reaches the late game before everybody else, it just doesn't matter. Again, Chronos, you have 3 items. Chronos has 3 items 22 minutes into the game. The difference here is that Jermain's at the late game, but everybody else is in the mid game. So that whole Anhur is not a late game god just doesn't matter.
I totally agree with you here. This is Jermain's game, and it's Elevates to close out together. They're invading the speed, invading the blue buff. Nobody really wants to contest this. There doesn't seem that Orbit really want to give up the Fire Giant. They have a regular ward right above the Sentry from eLevate to really see if eLevate truly commit to this Fire Giant, but something's going to have to give here. eLevate, they're going to need to pull the trigger soon because they can't allow Funballer to get these stacks for free and get to level 20.
Dardez is going to jump over the stun ball from Lawbster, looking for an opportunity. There's the pillar. Jermain just making noise, as the Frenchman likes to do. Just likes to make everybody know exactly where he stands. Level 20, looking strong. It's the king of the jungle. Trying to find an opportunity.
They see Funballer, he's out of position. The teleport to the hammer and the jump over the wall. The cage is good, but Ghost Walk is
Bang!
not gonna save Funballer's life.
One more basic and it does it. WorldEdit now looking for a target. Lands on 2, gets 1 pair of beads. Beautiful wall. WorldEdit is going to be controlled, but Lawbster's in trouble. Here's help from nulisa. Immune, perfect shot by Xaliea to save his own life.
Picking off Funballer now is going to open the door to this Fire Giant. eLevate, no hesitation. They're going straight for this objective. It's very important now for Trixtank to find the right timing because he still has this Intoxicate.
MoGoW and Dardez going to play defense, trying to avoid the damage. Here comes the final blows for the Fire Giant. eLevate get it, Trixtank too late. Jermain winds up on top, Trixtank gets smoked. Everybody looking towards the solo lane. Xaliea jumps away. MoGoW going to give chase, WorldEdit, Dardez, Jermain in that order, in tow. Looking for the kills, looking for the objective. eLevate has the Fire Giant around their waist. They got both towers on the right-hand side, and they looking for the Phoenix.
They're smelling blood. They're going for the right side Phoenix right now. MoGoW getting stunned out by the Isis and the Chronos. Gonna have to back off a little bit, but look how quickly it falls. QvoFred was thinking about split pushing mid, but he realized he had to come back to the base very quickly. This Fire Giant is helping eLevate just melt these objectives.
Totally, I cannot believe, I just straight up can't believe what we're seeing here. Over a 10,000 gold lead for the folks on eLevate versus Orbit.
My answer to you is the pentakill from Jermain, giving the confidence that eLevate really needed to snowball this. And now they were very good in the first game against Orbit. They had the early game lead ever so slightly. They drawn it out to about 20, 22 minutes or so, staying even with Orbit. But now, 25 minutes in the second game, they have a 12,000 goal lead with Fire Giant. Right side Phoenix has been demolished. This is eLevate's game to split.
It's not even one of these games where it's 20 to 22, absolute bloodbath, and then one lucky team fight. There's only 9 deaths on eLevate. They've dropped 9 times. A couple of them were kind of pickoffs in the jungle. I mean, this has just been an absolute impressive game from eLevate. And it's really funny, watching these rookies come out, you bring up that pentakill from Jermain, it's almost like eLevate needed something to tell them that they were this good.
They needed that spark,
Yep.
and that's exactly what happened for them. And now they're in the driver's seat to come even closer to getting that additional point, because nobody predicted that they were going to split
No.
with Orbit in this set. Coming from the position that they were to facing off such seasoned veterans between Xaliea, QvoFred, Lawbster, Trixtank, and Funballer. These guys have been playing together for over 2 years right now between the 5 of them. So this is such a good victory for eLevate if they can close this out.
And then across the way, eLevate, the 3 Myrmidon guys haven't finished above number 7 ever in the SPL. This is nulisa's first shot. This is WorldEdit's second, and his first wasn't too hot. Sometimes you just need the right stars to align. You need the right team, the right people, and the right catalyst. All of a sudden, things can happen. Trixtank gonna jump in. Phoenix already down. Jermain and nulisa safe in the backside. Down comes WorldEdit. This is the fight to end the fight. There's a shot on the Trixtank. He's in some trouble. Jermain chases QvoFred away, and Trixtank gone in a jiffy as WorldEdit winds up on top. 4 players still alive, and 5 chasing him down. Jump on top. nulisa cleans up Lawbster. Ladies and gentlemen, eLevate are in the throne room. All 5 players here looking towards the mid-Phoenix.
They get the second Phoenix that they need so far. They haven't lost anybody. They picked up 2 members from Orbit. They're going to move on over to the mid-Phoenix before they go for the last final push. They want to take no chances here.
Not at all. Orbit, 2 players down for the count. Xaliea, QvoFred with no ultimate, and Funball with an extra life. Still, damage onto the Titan. There it goes! eLevate, take him down. Orbit splits with the rookies.
Such impressive play from eLevate, finding the split against such seasoned veterans coming out of Orbit. This is the confidence that they need heading into day number 3.
You know, one of my favorite things to say when we see a massive upset like this is, all right, wow, we just saw the bottom card take out the top, go buy your lottery tickets now. I think that'd be unfair to eLevate. This was not a game that they sort of fluked out, or they won off of a lucky attempt, or they got a lucky team fight. This was tried and true from minute 1. eLevate just beat Orbit.
Absolutely. Just great early game plays coming out of eLevate. I'm really surprised at how successful they were to consistently invade the red buffs. There was just no potential to farm for Funballer at all that second game.
And just going to how dominant eLevate was here, I don't even think you can point to a problem that Orbit really had there. It wasn't Orbit dropping the ball. This was eLevate picking the ball up and smashing it in their opposition's face.
I'm still like flabbergasted that eLevate was able to pull such a victory. And look at all the smiles coming out of eLevate. But Orbit, they're still happy too. They're still in a good spot. They're still sitting at 8 points right now.
Absolutely. Yeah, this win is certainly much more about the folks on eLevate. When you look towards Orbit, like you said, probably a little bit more comfy. We'll take a look at all 4 teams as they've amassed their points throughout the weekend. We've got a shifting in the rankings, and the analysts are going to break it down.
Thanks so much, Tom. Absolute craziness on day 2 here in Group A. And look at the standings here. This is mental. 8 points for Orbit. The bottom 2 teams are eLevate and Dignitas, but they're sat on 4 points too. This is anyone's game going into tomorrow, Taco.
Yeah, this is definitely nobody's in the safe zone yet or in the clear at all. Orbit were looking like they were about to close the deal, but it seems like they're just going to come short today, and third day is definitely going to be important.
There is a potential of 6 points for any one of these teams tomorrow, take that into account. So the top 2 may not be the top 2 come tomorrow. Although Sanguine, I'm pretty sure you won't be liking that idea.
We're confident with it going into the last day.
Good day so far for you. Well, let's go back to that game a little bit. And for me, superstar Jermain showed up again.
Jermain and Jiffy, I'd say. Jiffy was incredible. His comms, like Orbit probably tilted because he was loud. Like we could hear him from here
the whole time.
And his ults were crazy. He just shut down Funball completely.
And this was like the second time, I believe, that we saw Qvo try to gank this lane in this little skirmish here. And he's just, lack of respect for Jermain, gets him punished.
Yeah, like I mentioned earlier, Anhur is definitely a pick that Jermain feels super confident on. And you can show just how confident he is with the way that he continuously aggressed into Funballer. He had no fear whatsoever of QVO ganking him. He had no fear of Funballer potentially soloing him. He came out swinging.
Now, Nika, you mentioned a little statement off air as well about how you felt about Jermain at the moment. Do you want to say that on air as well about his performance so far?
Probably the best ADC in the year.
Really, just overall, flat out, just by this performance, this LAN performance alone?
LAN and scrims and online as well. Yeah. He's so aggressive. He's everything you want in a hunter.
He kind of came out just the same way as like Adapting came out of EU as well, where he just came up the leaderboards on Grandmasters, and then next minute he's on a team, does okay with the Myrmidons, but now we're really seeing really good things from him.
He's incredible.
Really good situation.
So scary to play against him.
That whole team was fantastic overall on eLevate. And talking about eLevate, let's go straight to an interview. F. Dot is there with one of the men.
What's goody? I'm here with my man's not Jiffy. It's WorldEdit this time around. I hate name changes so much, but I don't hate your play. You guys look fantastic. Obviously, you just beat Orbit. That's what's hot on everybody's mind. Talk to me about the feeling and what you guys think after leaving a victory against the #1 team.
I mean, after the first day, I mean, we lost all our games, but I think that was just getting used to LAN in the setting, and now we feel a lot more comfortable. And obviously, Orbit are the best team here, on paper. I mean, we're the best team here, but. Yeah, it feels good to beat them.
I like that
knew
confidence.
we could do it, so.
Yeah, I like that confidence. A lot of us are talking about that in that very important moment when obviously Jermain hit the pentakill, nulisa right there in tow. How much did that impact you guys and boost you up?
I mean, I didn't even think we were going to win that fight against Sanguine, and then Jermain just goes ham, just gets the Venom. That's insane. And then at that point, I mean, I knew my teammates were insane, and after that game, I was like, oh, yeah. I mean, we're just so good.
That's the proof a lot of people needed. You guys wound up.
Lisa's Janus was sick as well in the other games.
Yeah, and that's what I wanted to talk to you about, the people that you play around. You've got Jermain coming out. You hear Nika on the analyst desk talking about how he's one of the best, if not the best hunters in the world. nulisa pulling up as well. Yeah. Talk to me about your teammates and what that's like playing against them.
Yeah, I mean, they're just such nice guys. Dardez is hilarious. Jermain's such a nice guy. Nulisa's obviously, Nulisa's Nulisa.
Just nulisa, that's all she gets.
MoGoW is just MoGoW. I don't even know what to say about MoGoW. He's played so good though. We all played so good. We win the game against Orbit, so it's good. We're gonna win tomorrow, all our games.
It's been hella fun watching you guys do what you do. Is there any shout outs you want to give before we let you go?
Shout out to the fans, if there is any. Shout out to my mum. Yeah, that's it.
Awesome, thanks a lot. That's WorldEdit right here, the jungler and the indescribable player from the guys on eLevate. Very fantastic stuff. He finds the win against Orbit, and everybody here was enjoyable and got to watch that win. So that's going to be it for us today. We're going to continue tomorrow, same time, same place, right here on hi-rez TV. We'll see you next time. Stay tuned for more SPL.